Okay, so now I have the sliding piston in right where it's supposed to be. I used the broomstick marked off to get it right at the perfect point where it wouldn't, right before it makes contact with the shock shaft. So now, let me get the shock shaft. So now, I'm going to put the butt plate in, fill it with oil, and then insert the shock shaft. So I have the butt plate here, like so. I just kind of tap on it with the palm of my hand. There we go. The butt plate slid in a little bit, but so did the sliding shaft because it's a sealed deal here. The O-rings keep the air pressure in. So now I insert the C-clip in. I go ahead and get my broomstick. Kind of tap on the sliding piston from the top to the bottom. The purpose of this is to get that back plate to go up against the C-clip. So now that I have that, oh shoot, actuality. Okay, so I pushed this down a little bit. I'm going to try something different this time. Usually I would have this back plate all the way up against the C-clip and muscle my way to push this shaft down by the sliding piston and slide it in, then squeeze the C-clip in around here. The few times I've done it, one time it was easy, the rest were pretty difficult, so I'm going to try something different here and see if I can do the same thing much easier with keeping a little gap here on the butt plate. So I'm going to fill the shock with oil, like so. I'm doing this in such a fashion to try and keep the minimize bubbles in the oil. That way I don't have to wait for them to rise to the top. Okay. I think I'm okay with the amount of oil I have here. Let me make sure. That might be too much actually. There we go. So I have oil here. I have that much in. When I pressurize it, it shouldn't be that too big of an issue. So, and I did adjust my clicker knob here to the softest setting, which allows the adjustable bleeder to let oil pass through much easier. Okay, there we go. Now here's the hard part. It's not so hard this time. I guess leaving that gap in the bottom actually proved to be much better. And that's the bottom plate of the shock. So now I have my shock here. I have the shaft in, wiper seal there, and I'm good. I have my C-clip here on the bottom. Now I'm going to show you how to pressurize it. First I'm going to put the dust cap in, then I'm going to pressurize it. Okay, so here I have my dust cap. I'm sticking it on like so, twisting it in place. Now, putting it back on, I don't use a vice grip or a plumber's a table vise or a plumber's vise. What I use is good old-fashioned Nike sneaker. Step on it and use my hands and tighten it down while I'm stepping on it with a good rubber soled sneaker. And this is on carpet. You know, if you need to wrap it with a towel or something and do it on a hard tile floor or wood floor, that's fine, but I use carpet. Step on it with my shoe and tighten it. Breaking it free is the opposite. Step on it, have these lined up, and try and hit it with a rubber mallet or a hammer if you have to. And just tapping at it pretty hard will get it to break free. After you've done it this way a few times. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll get back and show you how to pressurize it. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to pressurize the shock. Sorry I didn't show you with the dust cap, but I'm working on a sprained ankle right now and I needed somebody to help me with this. So, we have our hot nitrogen tank, HPA, paintball, made by Empire. We have the, I don't know, the cable, the nitrogen cable that came with it, hose that came with it. We'll stick that on top like so. we have our gauge, PSI gauge, with a T-body. One end is mated, set up to use a needle. The other end is set up for the nitrogen hoses quick connect. And let's get started in showing you how to do the do. All this is going to get inserted through here. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that this nitrogen HPA hose is backed off completely. As you screw down, that's how you open the tank. Be careful, the tank possesses 3,000 to 5,000 psi of pressure, nitrogen. So be careful. Make sure you have this backed off. So I'm going to go ahead and stick this on like so and twist until it's nice and tight. Oh, by the way, when I did tighten the dust cap, I made sure it was snug, somewhat firm, not super tight at all, just so you know. Okay, so I got that on there. Now I'm going to insert the needle, nitrogen needle, on my T segment here with the pressure gauge. Let's see. Stick it in like so. There we go, in focus. Like that. It comes with the O-ring. The O-ring is right here. Make sure that it's sealed and held down. And I tighten it. And when I do this, I just do it by hand. I don't use a tool for this, the nitrogen needle aspect of it. Seems like it's on there pretty well. Okay, and then I go ahead and insert my quick connect. So now I'm ready to insert this and charge the shock through here. So I'm going to go ahead and stick this in. What I've noticed is that when I charge my shocks, after I close everything off and then remove the needle, the self-healing rubber-like seal takes a second to close, and then within that second I lose about 50 psi of pressure. So I always add 50 psi more on my gauge when I do it. For you may want to check yourself and see how much you lose. Basically pull it out, let the seal close, and then reinsert and see what your pressure gauge is at to see how much the difference is just with you removing it. So I'm going to go ahead here and try and hold this down. On one hand I'm going to tighten the knob down, the other hand I'm going to try and hold this together while looking at the PSI gauge. I don't know if you guys can see it on the camera there. I'm low on battery here, so I'm trying to hold on. There we go, that's better. So you guys can kind of get an idea. And as you do it, the shock shaft will rise up and out. So, alright, here we go. So I just barely creak it open and slowly let the nitrogen in. I don't want to rush in because it can go so quick you can't keep up with it, and the nitrogen needle may shoot out. Who knows what happened? And that's at best. So I'm trying to get it to 250. One hand and doing this one-handed, so bear with me. Okay, good. It's slowly coming, and we are at, that's 250. So now I'm backing off, completely backing off on the nitrogen HPA tank, high pressure air tank. Once I fully backed off on it, which I have now, I'm going to now remove my nitrogen needle. And if you know what, I'll even pull this up close so you guys can see what I'm working with. So I'm at 250 psi right now. I'm going to take it out. Okay. So what you heard was air from within the hose and also the self-healing rubber tube. And just for the camera, you know what? Let me stick this in because the system is closed, technically, just so we can see what our PSI is at now. Oh, shoot, I just fucked up my needle. It's part of my French, messed up my needle. Let me get another needle and I'll show you guys. Okay, so now I've replaced the messed up needle with another one, and I guess I pushed on the metal portion instead of the actual rubber seal, so I'm being more careful here so you guys can see what pressure it is. It's at 150 psi. Okay, so no, I want it at 200, so I'm going to add a little bit more to this to get it to 200. Alright, so I'm going to play with it. Here, let's see. Okay, so let's do this again. There was no need for me to take that out, but that's okay. Now we slide this back in the rubber seal. Now if you noticed, I removed it, and I guess when I put my finger over the cap, that's how I lose the 50 psi. If I don't put my finger over that inlet hole, I could lose more than 50 psi. So it went from 150 to 100. So now I'm going to charge it to 250. This time when I do it though, as I remove, I'm going to keep my finger on the shock, the self-healing rubber seal, to ensure that I hold the air pressure in there while it's closing back up. So now I'm doing it again. I want to get it at 250 by the dial before I remove it. Okay, and we're creeping up, and 250. Okay, we're at 250. I'm backing off completely again. Alright, make sure I get it all the way off. And now, this time when I do it, I'm going to put my finger on the self-healing rubber seal portion on the shock. So here we go. Okay. So now, by now, the rubber seal should have closed. And just to make sure, for the camera purposes, let's see if I lost my 50 psi. I don't want to mess this needle up again, so. Gosh, come on. Wow, we're at 150 again. Okay, I guess no matter, hold on, let's see. Yeah, we're at about 155. So whether I take it to 250 or 200, I guess no matter what, it can only hold 160 psi of pressure. Let's see right there. That's odd. Okay. Okay, well there you have it, guys. Okay, now here's some extra info I found out about. Excuse me, I almost dropped the camera. Yeah, when I was trying to play with these BC Racing BR coilover shocks, I tried to charge them, decharge them probably 6 or 7 times, trying to get them to hit that 150 psi mark. And I guess what I realized is with the extreme short version, which I have here in my hand, 112, 115 psi seems to be the max that you can charge these to, and I think that's because there's a smaller region, a void in here. With the standard BC Racing BR coilover or shock, it's actually up to about this much taller or so. So that void is much bigger. Hence why I was able to get up to 150 psi on those when I would charge them. I would even try and set it at 200 psi. But with the small, extreme low versions, the short ones, short body shocks, I think 112, 115 psi is the most you're going to get out of this seal, rubber-like seal at the bottom. Alright, just some extra info to keep in mind.